Welcome to the Baha'i program. This is question time, and the question today is, what is special about Baha'u'llah? I wrote this talk for a couple of female Mormon friends of mine. I hope you enjoy it too. The most important thing about Baha'u'llah is that he was a manifestation of God, the most recent messenger whose mission was to guide mankind in this age. Many others had this distinction in the past for a different age, including Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, and the Bab. If we look at their basic spiritual teachings, they have all taught the same thing. That is as it should be. Spiritual teachings never change, and God has taught us through them throughout the ages. There is only one God and only his religion, which they all taught. As mankind has progressed and his understanding has increased, some of the social laws have needed to be upgraded to suit the times, including dietary laws, laws on punishment, and laws of marriage and divorce. Many of the new and special teachings of Baha'u'llah have been introduced in order to bring about the unity and peace proclaimed in all the Holy Scriptures, including the Bible, the Bhagavad Gita, the Quran, and the many Baha'i volumes. Many of the teachings of Baha'u'llah are taken for granted today, and people do not even realize that it was his teachings which brought them into being. For example, slavery has been in most societies throughout history. Baha'u'llah was special because he banned slavery. Slavery was rampant everywhere, particularly in the United States, and no religion had taught against it until his revelation. Both the Bible and the Quran tell us how to treat our slaves, and the Bible even tells slaves how to treat their masters. The Southern Baptist Convention was originally formed to promulgate the biblical teachings which supported slavery, and American Christians owned millions of slaves. Nowadays, Christians are against slavery, so they do not quote the Bible references that I'm going to quote to you. You may never have even heard of them. Here they are. The first is from the Old Testament, from Exodus chapter 21, verses 20 and 21. We read, "When a slave owner strikes a male or female slave with a rod, and the slave dies immediately, the owner shall be punished. But if the slave survives a day or two, there is no punishment, for the slave is the owner's property." The following quotations are from the New Testament. The first is from Ephesians chapter 6, verses 5 and 6, telling slaves to obey their masters. "Slaves, obey your earthly masters with fear and trembling, in singleness of heart, as you obey Christ, not only while being watched and in order to please them, but as slaves of Christ, doing the will of God from the heart." The second quotation is from 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 18 onwards, telling slaves that if they endure unjust treatment from their masters, it is more pleasing to God than enduring punishment they deserve. "Slaves, accept the authority of your masters with all deference, not only those who are kind and gentle, but also those who are harsh. For it is a credit to you if, being aware of God, you endure pain while suffering unjustly. If you endure when you are beaten for doing wrong, what credit is that? But if you endure when you do right and suffer for it, you have God's approval." Islam condones slavery, but teaches good treatment of slaves and makes it most meritorious to free a slave. A freed slave was supposed to be given a means of livelihood to support himself. Baha'u'llah was special because it was his revelation which prohibited slavery when he revealed in his most holy book, the Kitab-i-Aqdas, "It is forbidden you to trade in slaves, be they men or women. It is not for him who is himself a servant to buy another of God's servants, and this hath been prohibited in his holy tablet. Thus, by his mercy, hath the commandment been recorded by the pen of justice. Let no man exalt himself above another. All are but bondslaves before the Lord, and all exemplify the truth that there is none other God but Him. Another Baha'i principle, which is not explicitly part of any previous religion, is the equality of men and women. It is a principle necessary for this age and is being widely adopted around the world without many realizing that the source was the teachings of the Bab, the forerunner of Baha'u'llah, a teaching ratified Baha'u'llah when he revealed the following scripture. Women and men have been and will always be equal in the sight of God. Baha'u'llah was special because he clearly expressed this equality. One of the disciples of the Bab was a woman. Her name was Tahira. She never met the Bab but accepted him in a dream. She became a martyr to his cause. She was strangled with her own scarf and her body thrown down a well. Her last words were these: "You may kill me if you like, but you will never stop the emancipation of women." One of the special teachings of Baha'u'llah is that we should all investigate truth independently. This means that we should investigate all truth, including religious truth, and not just accept it because we were born into it. No religion has ever taught this before. When we investigate something and evaluate it ourselves and find it to be true, we have far more faith in it. Most religions teach that they are the only ones preferred by God and that people should accept the interpretations and imitate the man-made ceremonies of their leaders. The investigation of any other divine source of inspiration is usually discouraged and sometimes ridiculed. The son of Baha'u'llah, who was the only one authorized to interpret his teachings, wrote the following: "The first principle of Baha'u'llah is independent investigation of truth. That is, all the nations of the world have to investigate after truth independently and turn their eyes from the moribund, blind imitations of the past ages entirely. Truth is one. When it is independently investigated, it does not accept division. Therefore, the independent investigation of truth will lead to the oneness of the world of humanity." A major teaching which made Baha'u'llah special was the appointment of his successor. In his will, he chose his son, Abdul-Baha, to lead the faith and be the interpreter of his teachings. No religion in the past has had such a clear-cut transference of authority, and, as a consequence, they have all been split into sects which have often been a cause of major bloodshed. Millions of Protestants were killed by Roman Catholics. There are now over 40,000 Christian sects in the world. Islam broke into the Sunni and Shiite sects immediately after the death of Muhammad. They are still killing each other today. Many sects have broken off since then, but nowhere near as many as are in Christianity. Abdul-Baha was given the title Center of the Covenant, and he, in his will, appointed his grandson, Shoghi Effendi, to be his successor. He was known as the Guardian. After he died in 1957, there was no more single authority. He did not leave a will, so immediately after his passing, the Baha'i faith was steered by people who had been given the title Hands of the Cause by the Guardian, who made sure that the immediate plans left by the Guardians were fulfilled, including the formation of the Universal House of Justice, a body which has 9 members elected by the National Spiritual Assemblies of the Baha'i world. That institution is the head of the Baha'i faith today. The members of the Universal House of Justice have no individual authority. They can be given tasks to perform on behalf of the Universal House of Justice, but all final authority is in the hands of the complete institution, which, according to Baha'i scripture, is infallibly guided. Baha'u'llah is special because he proclaimed that everyone should be educated. This was taught in no previous religion. Baha'u'llah is special because he taught that the basis of all religions is one, that all the founders of those religions taught the same spiritual truths. Baha'u'llah is special because he taught that mankind is one. Religions of the past have been slow to embrace other cultures. Even the Christian disciples had arguments about spreading the teachings of Christ to non-Jews. Paul, who was a Roman citizen, gained ascendancy, so Christianity was able to spread. Already the Baha'i faith has many members from all major world religions, and its membership comes from every nation and every class. Baha'u'llah is special because he taught many principles which will eventually lead to the unity of our planet. He taught that we should choose a present or invented language to be a world language, to be learned with our mother tongue, so that wherever we travel we can effectively communicate. At the present stage of world development, there is not even enough unity to choose that language, but the benefits are so obvious that it is something that should be done as quickly as possible. He also taught that there should be a world currency and a unified system of weights and measurements. Baha'u'llah is special because he taught that the gap between the rich and the poor should be narrowed. He taught that over 120 years ago, and the gap is still widening. Laws should be enacted to prevent individuals from becoming excessively rich, and those that are well favored should be encouraged to share with the less fortunate. As part of this principle, Baha'u'llah encouraged profit sharing and commercial concerns, so that the workers share profits with the investors. When there is a more just distribution of wealth, there will be less hostility in the world and more stability. Baha'u'llah is special because he advised us that there will be a new world order, which will be a world government having nations as its states. The international problems need international solutions. The problems are basically spiritual problems, and so are the solutions. The main solution is that people have to care as much about others as they. When we care about our environment and the health and welfare of all people, the better we will resolve the issues of global warming, the starving millions, illiteracy, and the wastage of war. Here are some quotations from Baha'u'llah's revelation on the subject, revealed about 150 years ago. I took them from the book The World Order of Baha'u'llah, compiled and written by the guardian of the Baha'i faith, Shoghi Effendi. If you have not listened to these warnings before, listen to them now. The signs of impending convulsions and chaos can now be discerned, inasmuch as the prevailing order appeareth to be lamentably defective. The world's equilibrium hath been upset through the vibrating influence of this most great, this new world order. Mankind's ordered life hath been revolutionized through the agency of this unique, this wondrous system, the like of which mortal eyes have never witnessed. Soon will the present-day order be rolled up, and a new one spread out in its stead. Verily thy Lord speaketh the truth, and is the knower of things unseen. I have not covered everything which made Baha'u'llah special. I hope I have covered enough for you to be interested in investigating his teachings for yourself, so your faith will reach its peak.